Today's episode of Daily Variety is presented by City National Bank, proud sponsor of Power of Law, where the entertainment industry's most influential dealmakers take center stage. City National Bank provides specialized financial solutions for entertainment lawyers and firms, so you can navigate complex deals with confidence. Learn more at cnb.com/entertainment. City National is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.
Welcome to Daily Variety, your daily dose of news and analysis for entertainment industry insiders. It's Monday, April 6th, 2026. I'm your host, Cynthia Littleton. I am co-editor-in-chief of Variety alongside Ramin Satuda. I'm in LA, he's in New York, and Variety has reporters around the world covering the business of entertainment. In today's episode, in our box office segment, we'll hear from Variety's Rebecca Rubin on the big opening for the Super Mario Galaxy movie. The sequel to Universal and Illumination's 2023 blockbuster did not disappoint. It ranks as the year's highest opening to date. But before we get to that, here are a few headlines just in this morning that you need to know. Savannah Guthrie returned to the Today Show as anchor for the first time since her mother's disappearance in early February. "It's good to be home," Guthrie told co-anchor Craig Melvin at the start of today's episode. "It looks like there will be labor peace in Hollywood. The Writers Guild of America struck a tentative deal with the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers on Saturday. The pact runs 4 years. That's a sign of just how much the WGA needed an influx of money to shore up its struggling health plan. My colleague Gene Mattis has the details, and he is continuing to dig for more insights. The big question now is whether SAG-AFTRA and the Directors Guild of America will also agree to 4-year contracts, which is in contrast for the 3-year deals that have been standard for master union contracts for decades. This will be a big week for the industry's top legal eagles. Variety's annual Power of Law issue will be published in print and online on April 8th. We offer a look at the firms and the attorneys and the issues that have made a big impact on the industry over the past 12 months. And on the same day, we have our invitation-only Power of Law breakfast event with guest speakers Paul Feig and our 2026 honoree, Patricia Glazer of Glazer Weil. We'll bring you highlights from this event in Thursday's episode of Daily Variety. All of the stories just mentioned and so much more can be found on Variety.com right now. And now it's time for conversations with Variety journalists about news and trends in show business. If it's Monday, we're talking box office with Rebecca Rubin. The Super Mario Galaxy movie came on strong, but left room at the box office for Project Hail Mary, and then Zendaya and Robert Pattinson brought the drama. Rebecca Rubin, thank you so much for joining me once again to talk about the box office.
Thank you for having me.
Rebecca, you have been telling Daily Variety listeners for months now that Super Mario Bros., that this sequel was going to be big. It has arrived, and when you woke up this morning to tally all the receipts there, the only question was how big it would be. So, Rebecca, tell us, how did Super Mario Galaxy movie perform?
This was another clear winner out of the gate for Universal and Illumination. They opened this movie on a Wednesday, so it got a bit of a jump on the weekend, and it made $190 million in its first 5 days of release domestically, and $372 million globally. So those are massive ticket sales. They rank easily as the biggest of the year, and they're pretty much in line with its franchise predecessor, the Super Mario Bros. Movie. And that film opened to $204 million domestically and $375 million globally. So the domestic number was a tiny bit lower for the second movie, but the international number was bigger. So I think we'll see a similar success. The first Super Mario Bros. Movie was a huge blockbuster. It made $1.3 billion globally and was the second highest grossing film of 2023.
With the 2023 Super Mario Bros., this had been the first effort in a long time to put this franchise on the screen. It was seen as an event, people dressed up as the characters. Did this have that same impact with the super fans?
Absolutely, and I think that's reflected in just how well the audience from the first movie seemed to show up for the second movie, with them having pretty similar opening weekends. And What we've really seen for the past few years is just how much family moviegoing is carrying the box office. And what is really encouraging to theater owners is these four quadrant movies that are getting all kinds of people to theaters. Because it's great when we have a superhero movie or something that's just a little more male oriented that's putting up huge numbers. But what's most encouraging is when these kid friendly movies are bringing out all demographics, all generations.
Did it do well on IMAX and those kind of screens?
It did. It made $22 million globally in IMAX, and that ranks as the second highest global opening for a Hollywood film in the format. And it's actually slightly ahead of the first film, which opened to $21 million globally. And you don't always see a family film playing on these premium large format screens. But the Super Mario Bros. Movies have dazzling colors and just a lot of characters, and so it is something that people did turn out to see. And what's impressive is there's another movie that's also been a hit in IMAX, which is Project Hail Mary. And so there are sharing the screens, but people are coming out for two pretty different types of movies on these formats.
Project Hail Mary Weekend 3. How did that movie, which has been very impressive, how did that movie hold up in the face of competition from the brothers?
It has had an excellent showing. It placed in second on domestic charts. It made $30 million in its third weekend of release, and that's just a 43% decline. So it has really been holding steady at the box office. It has earned $217 million in North America, $120 million globally. And after just 3 weekends, it already ranks as Amazon MGM's biggest hit of all time. This is a really important year for them because it's the first time they have a full theatrical slate. And so they needed a hit, and this movie is delivering.
Back to Super Mario Galaxy movie, I wanted to ask you internationally, were there any regional pockets of strength for the movie? Any place where it really performed?
It did well in most territories it opened in. The biggest was Mexico, where it earned $29 million. And then the other big territories are kind of what we expect for big blockbusters. That's the United Kingdom and Ireland. It made about $20 million. Germany, it made 15, and France, 12. And so those tend to be the standout international territories for a lot of Hollywood films.
Sure, and also big gaming markets we know from our colleague Jennifer Maas. Exhibitors must be thrilled to see this kind of between Project Hail Mary and Super Mario Galaxy movie, bringing people in numbers into cinemas, buying all that popcorn, watching all those trailers. Did you take the pulse of any exhibitors about just this being a pretty big weekend?
Adam Aron, who is the CEO of AMC, which is the biggest theater chain, but I think it's safe to say he was quite euphoric just about the global appeal of this film. He called it an absolute cinematic triumph, and he praised the film for resonating with families and fans and audience of all ages. But one of the things that I think is interesting he spoke to is that this movie is succeeding alongside other films, including, like you said, Project Hail Mary, the drama that also opened this weekend, Scream 7, and Hoppers. And so what theater owners have really been talking about since the pandemic is they just need momentum. And this is coming on the heels of a number of successes. And when the first movie came out, there wasn't that much in the marketplace. And so the biggest difference, I think, is just that a number of films are bringing audiences out, not just one blockbuster that's taking up all the oxygen.
So true. A24 put out an adult drama with some very big stars in Zendaya and Robert Pattinson called The Drama. How did that perform for A24, Rebecca?
It had a pretty encouraging start. It opened to $14.4 million domestically and $28 million globally. And it opened nationwide in about 3,000 theaters, which is somewhat rare for an art house film. They tend to start in a few screens and then slowly expand its rollout. But I think in terms of star power and the word of mouth that the studio was expecting prompted them to go wide. These ticket sales are above A24's Materialist, which opened to $11 million, and they're pretty similar to Zendaya's last film, which was Challengers. That film opened to $15 million.
Let me just devil's advocate a little bit. The star power of Zendaya plus Robert Pattinson, I mean, these are two stars that whenever we post anything about them, our traffic goes crazy. I was a little surprised at $14 million. Did that not seem a little soft to you?
I feel like post-pandemic, my expectations are just all over the place. And so, well, yeah, it's not necessarily a blockbuster figure for this film, but I think just being realistic about what kind of film this is, I think it's darker than people are expecting, darker than A24 has been marketing it as. I think they're marketing it a bit more as a romantic comedy-esque film. So I think for it not being a big crowd pleaser, it had a B cinema score, which is fine. It's not fantastic. I think being realistic against the type of film it is and the budget, it cost around $25 million and it made $28 million globally. Like, it's not starting a franchise, but I think it's a decent mid-size hit.
Rebecca, I love your facility with numbers and budgets and understanding where you're starting from and where you need to get to. That kind of analysis is more important than ever. And I'm sure these are all the kinds of things that are going to be discussed next week in Las Vegas for CinemaCon, when studios gather with exhibitors to show off their wares. It's an old-fashioned get on stage and sell your movies kind of ballyhoo that is really great to cover. It's great networking. Tell me, what are you excited to see? Who are you looking to talk to?
The thing that stands out to me is that there's going to be a lot of optimism going into CinemaCon because there have been a number of movies that have performed above expectations. And the last few years, CinemaCon has arrived at more of a down period for the box office. And last year, for example, the box office was significantly behind. And then the weekend after is when a Minecraft movie opened, was a huge blockbuster success. And then momentum was able to continue from there. But I think what's nice about this year is there already is a nice amount of momentum. So they're going to be able to talk about the fact that people love going to the movies, and movie going is never going to stop being a popular out of the house form of entertainment. And I think a big topic of conversation will definitely be the theatrical windows, because Universal has recently said that they are planning to re-extend their window, something that a lot of people didn't think would happen. And then there will always be some anxieties, and some of that will be revolving around the fact that Paramount is trying to acquire Warner Brothers. And historically, we've seen when there is consolidation among studios, there's a decrease in output of new releases, and that is just the last thing that movie theater owners want. They need more movies, not fewer. And so I'm sure part of Warner Brothers, who is having their own presentation this year, as well as Paramount, part of their panels will be reassuring theater owners that they will put out just as many movies as they always do.
That Warner Brothers presentation will probably be pretty emotional, as it looks like it will be its last as a standalone studio. And I have no doubt that you will have great conversation. Rebecca, as always, thank you so much for talking us through all this stuff.
Thank you for having me.
As we close out today's episode, here's a few things we're watching for. Paley Fest began over this past weekend at the Dolby Theater. Coming up this week are sessions with Charlie's Angels, the original 1970 series, Shrinking, Nobody Wants This, and Emily in Paris. The Cannes Film Festival will unveil its official lineup on Thursday. We'll get analysis on this year's lineup, which is expected to be light on Hollywood titles, from Variety's Elsa Kaslassi and Brent Lang. And on Saturday starts weekend one of the Coachella Music and Arts Festival. This year it's headlined by Sabrina Carpenter, Justin Bieber, and Karol G. We love to hear from our listeners, so please send thoughts, gripes, and other feedback about Daily Variety to podcasts@variety.com. Before we go, congrats to Glenn Close. The veteran actor is getting her hands and feet enshrined in concrete outside of the Chinese Theater on May 1st. That ceremony will be held as part of the TCM Classic Film Festival, which runs in Hollywood April 30th through May 3rd. Thanks for listening. This episode was written and reported by me, Cynthia Littleton, with contributions from Rebecca Rubin. Sticks, Nicks, Hick Picks. Please leave us a review at the podcast platform of your choice, and please tune in tomorrow for another episode of Daily Variety.
This episode of Daily Variety is presented by City National Bank. For over 70 years, City National has proudly served the entertainment industry with banking solutions tailored to the unique needs of this business. From complex negotiations to long-term financial planning, City National supports the people and businesses behind the scenes. Visit cnb.com/entertainment to learn more. Here for every stage of the journey. City National is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.